Kia ora, te whānau. Here we go. We're really getting somewhere. So today we are going to do the back of this guy that's been poor, naked and lonely for so long. And this is what we're going to make. And look how great it looks with all the other pages. Obviously I wouldn't put them right next to each other like that. That one's fine. Those look really nice together. Or even just the blank page. So, if you're new here, welcome, welcome. You can jump in and start making these with us if you like. So, in the pack this week, in your folder, you will have this paper placed again. You will have a bunch of butterflies that you can use. You will have half a sheet of music paper. You will have this guy here, which is a utility postcard. Take that out. You will have that, which is part of the Masterboard, that is under here as well. And that, I'll pop that gel print in too. So there you go, you've got writing space, you've got a little pocket, you've got two pockets there with a cute little window with some Queen Anne's lace in it. And then this guy here opens up as well for writing space. Okay, so without further ado, let's get going. Okay, so I'm actually quite excited about this. It's something that I've never seen before, but it's probably been done before. So we're going to be doing it on the back of this guy. Finally, we're going to fill him if you haven't already. And I made a Masterboard, and this is going to be in your folder for this week. I think it was like that, and I've just chopped it in half, and that's going to be our base. So the first thing we're going to have to do is make the pocket, because I did for this one make a template, and I've managed to make a few improvements so that tabs and stuff and flaps to hold them on aren't seen. So this is just card that I have backed with that pattern paper. Pop that in the folder for you. I've glued obviously music paper to the front. It measures 10 by 14 centimeters. Sorry, I don't know what that is in inches. At the time I was doing it, I only had my ruler that had centimeters. Hold that thought. It won't be neat, but it's about 5.5 inches by 4 inches. And the reason why it can only be that is so that it doesn't interfere with this guy. As you can see, it could be a little bit longer, but you don't want it to meet right up to that edge. So the measurements that I've given, they're pretty safe. I've corner punched the edges. I cut it a little bit longer than the 10 centimeters. That's probably, it's just a flap. It can be any size you want, about 1.5 to 1 3/4. And I've just angled those off. And then you need to cut a piece that's 20 by 10, or the measurements that I said, so double the width, and that is because that needs to fit exactly onto there. And then all I did, I've tried to do as much prep as possible, is I measured, and it will completely depend on what size window you want to do. So I just decided I want that flower to fit in there. The Queen Anne's lace, I just absolutely love how it's our olive green. So that told me how far I wanted to fold that down, and all I did was I kind of just curled it over so that it fitted, and then folded it down. Then I had to decide how far up I want that pocket. So all I did there was I put it on a line across here, so that I can fold this one on a line as well. And I thought, well, I wanted about 1 inch. And as you can see, I just folded on that line and inked. So then what we need to do is quickly glue bits down so that we can cut through them. Now you could chop this off because you don't need all of that corner, but it's not doing any harm either. So just the the folded edge, when it's music paper or something light, just gives it a little bit more sturdiness for getting in and out of the pocket. So that one we fold backwards, this one we fold backwards. Now I apologize if this is a little bit of a longer video. There's quite a few little bits and pieces in here, so usually my videos are about 30 minutes, but I have a feeling this one might be longer. So then I need to cut this shape for the acetate pocket. All I did was I got a piece of acetate, or you could, I saved this as well, so you could use that too. Cut 2 pieces and lay them on top of each other. And then all I did was I grabbed a Sharpie, I lined them up. We might have to use our imagination here because I don't know if I've got enough left. Because I don't want it to be the exact size, because I want to be able to glue paper to paper at some point. So I just lined that up onto a line, put that on there as well, and I didn't want to get any Sharpie on my pocket, so I did go out a little bit more. So I know initially I've already got too much acetate there. So then when I came, and I know this is going to be really hard to see, my apologies. Have I got a... So that's what I've got now, just a dashed line, and then I just make sure that it's nice and stuck together. And I know I'm going to have to come in quite a bit to get that border back, so I will take off about that much, probably about centimetre, and I'm going to need to take a slice down here with my craft knife, a centimetre, and same along that bottom right through the 2 layers. And once you've done that, just double check that you've got at least like 1/4 inch around the whole border. And then all I need to do is make sure we don't have any grubby little fingerprints on it. And you're not going to see, and I can't decide, do I want the back of that because it shows me more of the green, or do I want... So real life issues, this part of the video is out of focus only for a couple of minutes. So what I'll do, I'll just voice over what I'm doing and speed it up so that we can get through this. I'm sure you guys all know how to do this. Just pop a little bit of glue right in the center of the flower and pop it on the acetate. Pop the other piece of acetate on top. Just going to put a little bit of glue down the left hand side here, and I forgot that I was going to sew around it, so I've actually done that after filming. And then to cut the window, I'm just following the edges 1 centimetre, using my cutting mat all around the 4 edges, easy peasy, and then popping out the middle. Now I'm just going to add some double-sided adhesive tape around all the 4 edges. This would be a really good time now at this stage to do your sewing, or after the washi tape. And yay, we're back in focus. Thanks for bearing with me. You know me, boo-boos, everything, all stay in. So I'm just going to pop some washi tape over the edges, mainly so that when we put it in the pocket it doesn't get caught on the acetate. And again, now would be a good time to sew if you're going to. Luckily my washi tape is exactly 1 centimetre. Just chop off that little bit. There we go, and then I only need to glue here and across here. Close that guy up, and we are almost there. Now the only thing left to do is glue this pocket. So I'm going to go down here. There we go. So I have left that unglued because that will allow me to put something a decent size in there rather than just that. There we go. Okay, so this is actually, believe it or not, the first thing we need to glue on to our page. So in the example, I haven't got it right down the bottom. I have moved it up a little bit. So I will do the same. I'll just quickly ink this guy. Just glue in here. There we go. I'm just going to pop him under something to dry for now. Just quickly before I do that. And I'll just run some washi tape down there too to try and disguise that. And we'll just pop his pocket on. So this is just obvious. Rectangle, corner punch the bottom, and I've divot punched the top. I'm just going to leave a little border all the way around the edge, just so that that's not a wasted space. You could also put a little piece of notepaper there, that gives you even more writing space, but I think this page is already really generous in terms of writing space anyway, so I might make it a tag that I put in here, and again you have a little bit of writing space on the back. Again, thank you to whoever recommended me getting one of these glue rubbers. If you haven't got one, I highly recommend getting one. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to dry. Okay, so next step we need to make the belly band. So I have made this A5, just coffee dyed note paper, lined paper. Unfortunately I can't pop it in the folder because of the information on it, as it might be copyright, but what we need to do is score, because when the whole idea of this belly band is when you fold everything out, I still want it to be flat enough to be able to be written on, if that makes sense. And I didn't want these to go past the edges of the page either, so that the whole part can be written on. So we're going to make it slightly smaller than an A5. So my first is at 2, my second is at 4, and then we're just going to trim a little quarter and go 1 3/4 down here and cut this off. The reason being is because that will mean that this doesn't knock right into that fold. We'll also make sure that it's just slightly smaller than our A5. Just trimmed off that extra little bit, and I'll just fold this And if you are using the same papers as me, you've probably got some of this left over. So I'm just going to, 2 inches is about 5 centimeters, and I want to center these. So I shall do the best I can and just trim this down to 5 centimeters width. Now we don't want, this is another modification, you could do it on a lighter cardstock, but the more you bend that, the more this is going to lift and warp. So I've just used a lighter paper, and that should allow us to bend that in and still keep it quite flat without it all creasing. Now I've just got a little piece of card. It's only about 3 centimeters. I'm just going to stick this to the back up here, and this is going to be our flat. So I'm just going to trim these. So that's what that looks like. Just gonna cover this little piece up. This you won't see, but this little piece here you might just see a little bit, only when we flip that up. So I've just got a little piece of book paper that I'm gonna pop on there. Then we need to angle these guys. Cut. And then I approximate where that one is, which is about there, and I cut up to that corner, just like that. Then I'll just ink that. Okay, and now we're just going to attach this guy by gluing down here and folding. What we do want to do, so it's not going to be perfectly centered up here, because I want to make sure that when you open it, these edges don't go past the edges of the journal page. So this is about where I'm going to glue. I might just put a little bit of washi tape, because these, I can see that's just tearing just a little bit, but I'll sort that out in a minute. I'll just pop that under something heavy and come back. Okay, so I just turned it over and I put a little bit of washi tape on that side, which is quite cool because that shows up there. And on the inside I'm just going to grab a little piece of my sellotape that I've covered in some alcohol ink to age, and I'm just going to pop that up there just wonky and chop the excess off. And that should strengthen that one. I'm not worried about that one because we overlapped this paper, and this origami washi paper, it's I think it's rice paper, so you can't even tear it. It's quite fibrous. Okay, so the next step, we need to make our pocket flap. Very similar to this with the flap that it needs, but it's going to be a pocket instead. And I want to round this bottom and chop a little bit off, just so that it doesn't have to work as much to bend to get it into the pocket. I'll do that for now. And the problem I have is this washi paper does not like the punch either. Not that one. This will just make it a little bit easier to get into the pockets. The pocket, sorry. There we go. So it's just a little bit shorter. And I probably should cut that straight. Good grief. Sara-Lee, that's terrible. That's a bit better. Wasn't even close to being straight. See what I mean about the washi paper? There we go. And I'll just re-ink that off camera. Okay, ignore my little hodgepodge. I've just stuck what I had left over to create a piece of card that I'm going to make the pocket out of. And what I need to do, because I want, and you could make this pocket out of book page, make it completely different so you don't have to do what I'm about to do. I just want to make it look like it's seamless, almost, because you know I'm going to ink. So I'll just quickly grab my pen. About there. There's my middle-ish. I'm going to divot that anyway, so that will be fine. And then I need to, we're going to make the pocket slightly larger just for ease of getting this into the pocket. That makes sense. So if I put him there, so the width of the belly band was 2 inches. So I'm going to make this 2 1/4. So then I'm going to want, you do not have to make your life this difficult. One, so there's the width of our pocket. That's just going to allow us a little bit of room either side. So then I'm going to fold those in. Chop this off. And again, this piece here is going to be our flap. So I'm just going to trim that. And usually I would angle these more than I'm going to, but you'll see why I don't this time. So just the tiniest little amount, because that's going to be glued across for the bottom of the pocket. Okay. So I'm just going to pop, and I'm going to go almost to the edges of the pocket. I'm just going to quickly ink that. Going to glue down here, across here. Okay. And because that doesn't reach the bottom and we trimmed it, doesn't matter that the bottom of that pocket is glued there. Okay, and then we're going to put that guy in there. And then we are just going to turn that over. And we are getting there. So I'll just let that dry. Okay, so now we've got to make a little closure. And to be fair, I don't think it needs it. You would quite happily get away at this point, leaving it as is, because this, when I've made it out of the paper, as opposed to this cardboard one, which is why I've made the change. See how that's lifting up? That's why I put that there, but then I quite like the way it looks too, and it does add a bit of extra security. I have stuck a little piece of muslin there, and all I have done is I have glued a square and stuck that on. That will become obvious in just a second. So before we do the closure, we need to stick our note paper in here, and I've just stuck together two random pieces because I think that looks quite cool. Why does it have to be one piece? And I'm going to pop that there. Okay, just took a quick break. Magic of TV. And shoved my lunch in my gob, which happened to be a potato savoury and a piece of shortbread. Yum! I'm just going to glue this down. This glue stick, I think it's only available in New Zealand. Where was it from? Maybe Office Max. Really good. Usually I only use the yellow and green one, Amos I think it's called, but this one I'm pretty happy with. It puts quite a lot of glue on the surface, which I think is what you need with a glue stick. There you go. Now we've got a cool writing space. Obviously you don't have to do the double toned. You could just use just normal note paper, or you could stamp on a piece of fly paper. That would be fine. Now that we've got that down, what I was going to do with this is I just wanted some texture behind, so I have just glued to where I didn't want the threads to pull out. And I did this last week so that I'd have a little bit of texture but not too much going on. Because I just want to do just a little cluster down here. Now obviously you're not going to have the exact same stamps and things that I've got. There we go. But just use your imagination. So up here we need to make one of these. all I did was I covered a bit of cardstock and writing paper, waited for it to dry obviously, paper punched it, made 2 more because I'm going to stick those behind just so that it's a little bit more sturdy. So, and I inked the edges, I inked the edges first because if this glue gets on them, they don't ink, which I found out the hard way. And you know me and my inking. So I was very upset. Okay, so that just goes on there. Then I just grabbed a little bit of, might just grab a little bit of this time. Just a smidge, because I don't have that little piece of lace. And a little bit of muslin. Don't need much. And then my butterflies, these are actually from another digital that I've only just recently put up. Cool, huh? These ones, this sheet should all fit, if you print it at size, should all fit perfectly into this hole punch. So, well, okay, so if you're making an acetate window, right, and you've cut the butterfly out wing to wing, it should fit in that window. If that makes sense. And then there's this page, which are smaller ones and then new ones that are larger and some really big ones. So I'll pop that link down below. I'm going to put this sheet into the folder, so if you are following along, but I just thought some people might just want those butterflies, and I've given them all a border. Can you see that? So that is just to make the fussy cutting a little bit less fussy if you wanted to, or if you don't have the patience for it. I cut that little border off, so when I do mine. And why are there 2 of them? Because every single one I have not only printed twice, but I have flipped it so that it is identical. So this is a good example. So if you cut those 2 out and put them together, they would mirror. So if it's a specimen card that you're using them for, it'll look the same on both sides, rather than it being white on the back or mismatched. It's, you know me by now. Okay, so I don't want a double-sided one. So I'll just grab maybe something a bit darker. I've done some double-sided, as you can see. Oh, there's a good example. See, look at him. And then in a specimen window, he's identical on the back. Okay, maybe it is you today, because I'm not going to sit on camera and do another one. And honestly, I just donk. Donk. And have you been inked, my friend? I don't think you have. They look, so look at them now, and then when he's inked. I just ink a little bit on the back as well. Don't ask me why. There you go. And I saw Michelle Reese Designs, she double printed them. So she printed them, that was printed, by the way, on matte photo paper, and then she printed them on vellum, and she cut one out of each, and then she put the vellum one on top and just glued there, and the vellum wings sit up, which I thought was gorgeous. So yeah, that's another option. Love her designs. If you haven't seen her, I just made a post sharing some love with that lovely lady. There you go. So then he's done. Ta-da! I'm going to use the darker one. That I can use for another project. Okay, and then I've got one piece that's just not white, and then I have just got, you'll see, you can use any label you like. So this one, I used one of those for my example. I have cut out one of those, but I have a different shape. So this could just be a label like that as well. So you just use whatever you've got. And like I say, it doesn't actually even need it. So what I'm going to do, quack, ink. I am going to, and you really don't need much of a lip at all to sit under there for it to hold. The more you put, the harder it is to get it under there. So I'm just going to put him about there. And I haven't left myself much room, I have to admit, to put that in. Because remember, we have to put a binding on there because it's a Ringbound. Then I thought what I would do, I've got two the same. Then I thought I would, just so that he's definitely stuck in there, I would put that one in between those so that he's got this guy really sticking him in there. And then, just for aesthetic purposes, pop that one on the back. Up the right way would be good, Sara-Lee. So chuck him. There we go. Like I say, you are not going to see much of that at all. Right, that needs to dry. Dry. I just moved him. Okay. And down here, you don't have to put anything there either. I was having a look at it while I was eating my lunch. And what I thought was, when I was looking at it like that, is it's a bit top heavy at the moment. So it just needs a little something down here. So I just got out some bits and pieces that I have made in the past. And now see how I'm covering this up, but these little threads are going to show. And I thought, I don't like twos. Don't like even numbers when it comes to clusters. But you want one of these pieces to be at the front that's being covered up a little bit, because you need a place that your eye's directing to. So if I did this, your eye doesn't know where to go first. So I liked that. That's good. That was fast. So we will chuck him there. There. Okay, about there. So it just gives you something, and it makes sense too, because you want their eye to draw down, because they need to know that that opens. Okay, now this guy looks really plain all up there by himself, so I was just playing around. See, you could put something just like that if you want something plain, or we could put that on there, which I quite like. For some reason it makes that look like almost a buckle or something. What do you think? Tell me. That one? Or that one? Oh, I don't know. I had thought that I wanted that one, but now I'm not sure. Oh, goodness. Okay, I'm going plain, because the butterfly already has muslin on it. So I don't want to overdo it. And I am going to stick him sideways, just because. Okay, so now how we need to do this. So I need at least like 2/8 of an inch to get that on there. And then I only want a little bit. See, it only needs to have about that much to fit under there. And that's going to bug me because that's not straight. And I might actually push that in a bit further. Let's just see what's going on here. So I want that straight, and then I want that straight. There we go. And I want it about there. So I might put this guy on first, and I only need to glue that top bit and the bottom bit. You could glue the side. I'll just put a little bit there. Okay, I don't want to put it up too high, and I don't want to put it so that it's in line with that. I want it about halfway. So that right there should give us enough room to still squeeze that on. Like I say, don't do what I did. Give yourself a little bit more room over here, which might mean just nudging this to the left a little bit. And then this guy, oh, you're not going to see that at all. So here we go. Now, while that dries, I need to pull him out of there so that it's not lifting this guy up and ungluing him. So I'm just going to pop that under something heavy, and I will be back. Okay, we are on the home stretch. So all we have left to do now is fill these pockets. I found this cool thing. Apparently, when I googled it, it's a water utility postcard, which is really cool. And look, awesome writing space on the back. So I have scanned front and back, and I have changed the name because this is the original piece. So you can copy that off if you like. So I'm not going to sit here and do this on camera, but we still have the other half of this as well somewhere. There. So I'm going to make a card out of that as well. Probably just chop that down. That can go in there. This guy, I've just chopped out one of my butterflies. I think I'm going to keep him really simple. I'm going to pop that there, and I'm going to put him in there. But I don't want you to sit here, because that'll look quite nice when it's open. I don't want you to have to sit here and watch me putting note paper glued to the back, etc., recutting it. That's all very self-explanatory. So this guy here, let's pop this out of the way for a second. Just going to slice, because this little collage is going to make great bases for cards if you're printing it out. How tall do we want him? I'll put him into this one. So he could have quite a bit trimmed off him, but I don't want to lose that because I quite like that. So just know I sat here and backed them all, inked them all, and just corner rounded the edges. So that guy will go in there. This guy will go in there with his butterfly on him. And this guy, I might just leave him the size he is. He can sit out the top of the pocket like that. There we go. And then put that in there, and you'll see what I mean. You don't even need that. But it's there for pretties. What you could do is you could just leave it like that, and it seems to lie just as flat. So up to you what you would like to do there. The only other thing was you could have backed this to card and made this an additional pocket if you wanted to. I haven't, because I've now put an extra pocket on there. So we've got writing space if we wanted it, writing space on the back of that, writing space, and writing space. So I don't think we need any more, but you could, if you wanted to, turn that into a pocket like I had in my template. Okay, now all we have to do is, and I'm not going to hold you here to do this, glue, pop it on there, and then we're going to have our finished page. If you wanted to and you had room, you could put a divot there and that could then become a pocket between the two. I'm not going to on this one. And then we just wrap our binding round like we did on all of the others. So if I have a fake binding, because I haven't made one up yet, we just pop that on there, and then that page is done. Okay, so there we go, we are done. If this was a bit long video, I know it's taken me a long time to make, but it just depends how much I can edit out with the gluing, etc. There is our next page, done. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed crafting along with me if you're making this one. I have seen some amazing work coming through that is not using all of these papers. They're making it their own, and it's absolutely, it's just blowing me away how different it looks, even though it's the same design. So happy crafting, everybody. If you are new and joining us, welcome, and make sure that you guys start, when we get close to the end, start sending me in a couple of photos if you want to. I would love to make another slideshow like we did for the last Come Make With Me, where I showed everyone else's makes, because I think that's really special and really important to acknowledge everyone else's work. And anyone who's watching that can have a look at that and go, oh, this is other people's work, and it's built off this, but it's completely different, and that's what this craft is about, making it your own. So until next time, thank you so much for being here, thank you for being part of my family, and until next time, mā te wā.